It's north from here.
Okay, Dystopian fans, this is our continuing discussion on Dystopian Wars. This will be part 2 on flyers and the obscurement rule. Now, in part 1 we talked about the medium flyers, the scout ships. Today we're going to take a look at something a little bit bigger, something a little bit more complex, which is this obscured sky fortress. And we're going to add a cap to it to make it even more difficult a model to take on. Okay, so this is the setup I normally run. Okay, I have a sky fortress, I run it obscured, I throw my Commodore on there, and then I cap with 5 fighters. This is a very difficult model to damage. Part 1 you already saw, excuse me, part 1 we saw how ineffective gunnery attacks were on an obscured flyer. Well, let's add more hit points to that and a higher damage rating, and we've got even a bigger problem. So this is the setup that a lot of people online are calling overpowered. And frankly, I see their point. I mean, this model is 120 points. And what are we getting for 120 points? Well, for starters, we're getting a cruiser. So I can refuel my tiny flyers and I can rearm them. Plus I get 6 tiny flyers for free, added to the 10 just for fielding a battle force. So that's a huge deal. The ability to be capped and the makes it a highly defensive option. The ability to go obscured, and it has a decent amount of weaponry. It's hard to pass up for 120 points, and I think it's too cheap, if I could speak honestly. I think they need to increase the points of a flying cruiser, just because of all the innate things that it can do. Okay, but that's a whole nother subject. So we're going to try to take on this model, and I would love for the people watching this video, if you have a different approach, I would love to see like a video response, or write it in the comments section. For me, the first thing I do, and I face a lot of Empire of the Blazing Suns, and they have a flying carrier. And I will say this, all 4 factions have flying carriers. They just don't have models for them yet. So Empire of the Blazing Suns and Prussians have the models. But that doesn't mean that you won't be seeing more of these as Spartan Games starts producing and releasing more models for your faction. So you better think of ways to counter this tactic. For me, I look at taking out the cap first, okay? There's not an easy solution to take this model out, or else people wouldn't be discussing it ad nauseum online. It's going to take a number of activations, and you're going to have to coordinate a lot of your units to even begin to damage it. So for me, step 1 is to take out this cap, and then I can begin to pluck away at the Sky Fortress itself. Okay, so method 1, I could send a squadron of tiny fighters. Okay, now here's the important thing if you're going to do this tactic. You don't declare the Sky Fortress as your target. You say, I am targeting this plane here, is going to target that plane there, okay? and so forth and so forth. So all this battle is going to happen simultaneously. Now, a lot of you are saying, but wait a second. The cap is part of this unit here, so what about the ACAC from the Sky Fortress? Okay. Because Dystopian Wars is resolved model at a time, meaning I don't say I'm shooting at the squad like in other games. I say this model is shooting at that model, and so forth and so forth. Even though that the cap is part of this same squad, you're not allowed to link fire with the cap, okay? And because you're not being attacked directly and you can't link fire, you can't fire with your anti-aircraft. So this here evens the odds, okay? And again, I'd like to point out that tiny fires are free. So let's go ahead and resolve this. You see I already rolled a 6 there, and let's see what he rolls. He rolls snake eyes. So he dies. He doesn't have a special rule where he gets to see if he can negate that rule. But he's dead. And the 6 allows me to get a free reroll on another flyer, which does nothing. Let's resolve this. Here he would lose some fuel. I lose a tiny flyer. Well, I could see if I can negate it. I don't. And we're going to go down the line, so forth and so forth, okay? And what's going to end up happening is usually you wash, you know, this guy's, the cap's going to lose some models and you're going to lose some models. But you've begun the process of taking out the cap. Okay. So that's one way. Another way would be to use your surface models. This is a little bit more complex. Use your surface models ACAC against the cap itself. And the way I would do it is I would stay a good healthy distance away. About 8 inches, okay? Now, why is that important? We know that the cap can't fire back at the cruisers anyways, because these are fighters. So why is staying 8 inches a good idea? Well, you want to outmaneuver the Sky Fortress. The Sky Fortress is a slow model, so staying 8 inches away allows you to use your offensive ACAC on the cap itself without fear of the Sky Fortress flying over you and bombing you. Now, you still have to contend with the Tesla and the broadsides, but in order for those weapons to be effective, he's got to swoop down, and he has to swoop down with his bombs too. Point being is, if he tries to retaliate, he's going to leave himself vulnerable. Okay? And that's part of the tactic here, is to get the Sky Fortress here to leave itself somewhat vulnerable, because it feels like, okay, it's being threatened and now it has to respond. Okay? So in this case, we're going to use the split fire rule to take out this cap. So I have 4 ACAC on each cruiser here, okay? And again, I would go 2-2, 2-2, and all 4 on the last one. And the Sky Fortress has to sit there and take it. Why? Because it can't do anything. So surface model is a pretty good way to go. I might not take out his cap doing this, but at least I risk nothing. And he's burning fuel there. There's an abort roll. And nothing there. Nothing there. Oh, this is bad. Well, here's 1-6, so let's see if he can abort it or cancel it out. He doesn't, so he dies. So I get a free reroll. And I get to abort somebody else, and then I have 4 rolls on this last plane, and look at all the 6s there. So he dies, and I get 3 rerolls on 3 other planes. There's another dead. Okay. Let's do another one. Okay, nothing. So the offensive ACAC, and I wouldn't, I would position these cruisers so that their turrets and their broadsides would fire at other targets. But now his cap has been cut down in half. It leaves him a little bit more vulnerable, and it makes him want to do something to either retaliate for the attack. But like I said, it'll take multiple activations. So he would activate back and maybe try to retaliate, depending on what other targets are available. The point is, you've put him in a position where he's now has to contemplate whether to swoop down and burn, take out his obscurement rule, leaving himself vulnerable, or stay obscured and take the chances of taking the lesser or the higher amount of hit, because while obscured, he can use all his weapons, but he needs 6s to hit as well, and that's the trade-off of being obscured and staying obscured, okay? It's not a clean solution. It is not like, okay, you do this and you're good. I haven't been able to find that one Achilles heel in this setup. It's really, for me, and putting it in context of an entire battle, I tend to take out the other units, and then when I get that numbers advantage and that activation advantage, then I start going after his capped large and massive models. And that's really the end game, is that gaining those activations allows you to start ganging up on this model, because it will take multiple activations to down it, and the only way to get that advantage is to quite frankly play outside of this scenario and take out his other activations, take out his frigates, take out some cruisers, anything that you can take out in a turn will help you out in the later turns, as far as getting that activation bonus, and then, like I said, ganging up on a model like this. I've done it in game. It's the only effective way that I've found. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about this, because a lot of people online are just livid about the obscurement rules and using them on something with a lot of HP like a Sky Fortress. So personally, I don't think it's overpowered. I like the flying rules, but if they would adjust the point cost, because this model can do so much, I think that would be only fair and probably the easiest way to do it. Write your comments down below.